Asher here. Um, Wanted to make a vid today because I'm starting to realize that we're near the end of this long, long journey in terms of the fight against the New World Order and the people that were responsible for that. And I just was thinking back to 9/11 and my own personal story, uh, which I will put out in a little bit. Um, but at the end of that story, uh, basically, I witnessed the second tower fall from very close, maybe 10 blocks away north. And I heard the demolition charges going off, which were like pop, 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 seven pops as the second tower came down. And, I thought a lot about that because I had watched a lot of those demolition shows where they were, where they knocked down a building. And I know how they lay the demo charges for it. Um, and later, some documentaries came out where they slow motion the towers falling, where you could see puffs of smoke coming out the sides under slow motion as the towers came down. And I realized that they took the towers down. And I realized that really right away because I heard the demo go off. And I was called by every single person that I told this to a conspiracy theorist, that I was crazy for years and years and years. And the reason that people use that term is because the CIA created it. So it's used to make anybody that brings up anything that's out of the norm or that might uncover some kind of criminality that it's a conspiracy, right? You're seeing that right now with Q. And but I know what I heard and I know what my intuition told me. And so I tried to do as much research as I could, and as more and more of the research came out and other engineers started to look at how the buildings fell, it became overwhelmingly clear that the towers were initiated, right? In other words, a building can't just start to free fall. The pancake theory that doesn't apply. It has to be initiated by something. And when you look at the temperatures at which steel melts, right, which is, I believe, around 2,000 Fahrenheit, there's no way that the fires inside that building, even stoked by all the gasoline, which would burn off quickly, the jet fuel, you couldn't reach those temperatures. Which then led you to how did the beams collapse? And that led you to nanothermite, which was found in samples of the steel that was later taken. And that's why they were in such a rush to get rid of all the steel and melt it down and get rid of it, because if somebody would start to look at some of the foundational steel in that building, you would see how it was cut through with nanothermite. And that's what happened. But what you realize is that there's so many people that are blind to the fact, and even today, I can tell people this and they don't believe it. Today, with all the information that's out there 20 years later, that's cognitive dissonance. That's just some people will never wake up to they're blind to the fact. And that's part of why I wanted to make this video today, because there's two kinds of people in this world, right? You either care to know or you don't want to know. That's it. So what the problem is with people that don't care to know is they're in the dark. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They're believing the MSM narrative that they're fed on a daily basis because they don't care to know the truth, which is out there, but it's not going to be given to you by the MSM because those people were long ago bought off by powerful interests. I mean, I think the Rothschilds or one of those guys bought Reuters in the 1880s or something. So, what press have you been reading? Right? The press you've been reading was controlled your whole life. All of it. So, that's the problem. And what you're seeing now is you're seeing new people come up who do their own research and they know. And they know the real truth. And so The cognitive dissonance comes in when there's people who are sitting around and they don't look into anything and they don't care to know. And they come across some dude that's saying, hey, this is going on. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? Never heard of this. Yeah, because you don't care to know. The information's there. You just have to go find it. It's not going to be on the surface. But there's 50 guys I could tell you about who will tell you about it. And then you do your own research and you come to your own logical, empirical conclusion and you know about it. But people don't do that. They don't care to know. So you're in the dark. I don't want to be in the dark. I want to know everything so I can figure out what the problem is in my country and my world and fix it. If you're in the dark, you don't even know what's going on. You're not in the game. So that's why I tell people, please do research. Please do independent research with sources you trust. Not CNN, not MSNBC, not Fox, not any of that mainstream. Go find the information. It's out there if you really want to know what's going on. And don't get in the way of people who are trying to tell their truth that as they know it from the information that they've seen and researched, and call them a conspiracy theorist because you've never heard of this stuff. That's what's going on. So there's a mechanism that's been long in place that's set up to make sure that people who are trying to be a truth teller or trying to share information about certain things get the kibosh, I call it, right? They get the Facebook making sure that you don't get seen too much, right? Pushing your news down in the feed of other people. That's what happened to me on Facebook. That's why I got off. I don't want to be censored. If I put a picture of my food up, I'll get 20 likes, right? But if I put something up about how Trump's fighting against this or we got, child trafficking or whatever, no one sees it. So you see the mechanism is already coming in using AI algorithms to censor. So I guess my point about this video is please care to know. You have to want to know. And if you don't care to know, then a lot of stuff's going to come out and you're going to be shocked and your cognitive dissonance just won't work anymore because you won't be able to ignore it. So that's what I tried to tell friends about 9/11 years ago. Hey, this is what I heard and saw. I mean, I heard all these pops. I don't know. Was it gas lines? Maybe. Right? Never seen a building that size come down so perfect, though. And I seen a lot of shit growing up in New York. I ain't never seen that. And look up at the temperature that steel melts at. It's pretty high. So somebody cut those beams with nanothermite. Go look it up. It's fact right now. What a lot of people don't know about the Twin Towers was there was a lot of gold and silver down in those vaults down there too. Wonder where that all went. We never really found out if all that gold and silver was ever secured or was it stolen. On top of that, the banking computers were in World Trade Center. So when the Tsar was about to go through, the information I read and heard was that they had to stop that because if Nassara went through the banking computer and triggered the system, then it was going to start paying out, and they couldn't stop it then. It's like a roller coaster, D5 avalanche that never stops. And then the money would be initiated, it would start to come out, people would get it, and you couldn't stop it then. You couldn't. So they took the towers down to literally stop that and then try to steal the money or some of it. So that's what happened. And, when you don't care to know, you do a disservice to humanity because you allow people to perpetuate crimes like this on humanity. And on top of that, some people will belittle or call people a conspiracy theorist, right, who try to bring that information out. So not only are you hurting humanity because you don't care to know, which is fine, and that's your individual choice, but some people are also hurting those who have the courage to come out and say and talk about certain subjects. And some people have lost their lives over it. So before you take somebody else, try to take other people down because you don't, the information they're telling you you've never heard of, or you don't understand it, or you didn't look into it. First, look into it. And then if you can disprove something that someone's saying with facts, with articles, with knowledge, then come out with it if you want. Fine, challenge it, of course. But don't just be that naysayer on the Facebook page, on a Facebook comment or whatever it is, talking out of your ass because you don't know. And this person might know more than you about it. So before you speak about a subject, learn about it. Research it to the point where your information is beyond a reasonable doubt in your mind that you're right. Because there's a lot of people out here that are putting out false information, and that's the problem, is you're spreading disinformation, right? When you see an article on or something that someone posts on Facebook from MSM, look into it first. Because when you repost that, some of that stuff is not true. Okay? And then you're spreading disinformation to hundreds or thousands of other people. So you really need to be careful right now, because it's all about disinformation and propaganda. So with that, not much else to report. Very intense energies. We're in the photon belt right now, and that's 0 point. So it's like a special point where the Earth gets to, where the energy shifts and manifestation becomes much more possible. So be real careful what you wish for right now and think about. And, always just try to be positive and bring positivity out of your heart. Raise your vibration up. Do your meditation, do your stretching, do your whatever workout thing brings you on more peace. It might be kung fu, it might be, whatever, right? Learn to do something to bring yourself into a state of inner peace where you're in your center. It's hard, right? They say the Stoic can stay in the center space while chaos swirls all around them, right? Some of the greatest leaders have been people like that, who can think logically and be calm in the midst of chaos. And so that's what we have to try to do, everybody, right now. There's forces trying to make us angry at each other. There's forces that want us down, that are vibration low. So you got to fight back against the dark, and you do that with light and love. So with that, I just would say, don't call people a conspiracy theorist. Look into information with independent sources that you trust, and make an informed, empirical, calculated decision about what you believe is true. And do your research. Do a lot of research on this stuff, because you're going to need to. We're going to have to rewrite all the history books. We're going to need people that know history and will be able to fix it in the correct way, so everybody knows what really happened once we get the true story. And with that, I wish you love and light and peace.